After Avengers Infinity War, Marvel fans have been restless, shocked, and curious. Thanos has successfully killed half the population of the universe, so what strategy will be used to defeat someone with all 6 Infinity Stones? For those of you who haven't seen the recent MCU movies yet, there will be spoilers, so you've been warned. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to CBR and ring that little bell to join our notification squad so you never miss a video. Without further ado, here are some crazy theories that could predict the events of Avengers 4.
The time has come for you to come home and be reunited with me.
Reshaping the MCU. If you aren't already aware, the X-Men, Deadpool, and Fantastic Four properties are not part of the MCU. Their copyright is owned by 21st Century Fox. In December 2017, Disney bid $52.4 billion to buy Fox and all of its assets. The merger would be a dream come true and would unite the MCU once and for all. However, recently, Comcast has bid a whopping $65 billion for the company. To reply, Disney has now bid $71.3 billion, which Fox has agreed to for now. What does this exactly have to do with the theory? Well, we can all agree that the MCU is currently flawed and that it lacks the X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Deadpool. The former two were major players in the Infinity War, but are completely excluded from the movies. In the comic books, there was a similar flaw in the universe. The only way to fix this flaw was to destroy the universe and reconstruct it from scratch. So the god of the universe, one above all, allowed Thanos to acquire something even more powerful than the Infinity Gauntlet with all of the stones. The heart of the universe. With it, he reshaped the universe and fixed the flaw. The one above all in the Marvel universe was once shown to look like Jack Kirby, one of the major authors of Marvel Comics. In the MCU, who is the one above all? Well, it can be argued that it might be Stan Lee with all of his cameo appearances, but others have said that it's Kevin Feige. In either case, both will most likely agree that the MCU is flawed and would need to be reshaped. Since backstories and movies have already been made, though, one can't go back in time and change history. But what if there was a way to reset the entire MCU through something like an Infinity Gauntlet, just like Thanos reset it in the comics? We all know that, eventually, the characters that were erased by Thanos will come back. The only way for them to come back, though, is to use the Infinity Gauntlet again to make a wish to either revert things to the way they were, or perhaps reset and change them completely. If that happens, the MCU could segue into a story arc where the Avengers meet the X-Men. What's funny is that Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch, is already in the Avengers, but her father is technically Magneto. The MCU is really messed up, and something needs to happen to fix it. In the comic books, there's a crossover story arc where the X-Men meet the Avengers. It's called the House of M. It would be a great way to introduce the X-Men into the MCU officially. The Russo brothers probably didn't plan that far ahead, but they could write the ending of the Infinity War with this in the back of their mind, so it leaves an opening for it to occur. We don't expect a rewrite of the Avengers 4 script, but it won't get released until May 2019, so there's lots of time to edit a few things. Now, this is nice and everything, but how are they going to get the Infinity Gauntlet from Thanos in the first place? Well, that brings us to our next set of theories.
You can stay with us and help them.
I will help them by killing Thanos.
Nebula MVP. Doctor Strange saw 14,605 realities, but only one in which they were successful. In fact, there are an infinite number of realities, so it's impossible to see all of them. But what if the one he saw was actually the comic book reality Earth 616? In the comic books, Thanos was defeated by his own ego. Due to his pride, he was coerced to fighting the Avengers without using all 6 Infinity Stones, but to use only 1 stone at a time. The Avengers almost won, but at the last second, Thanos used all of his power. They couldn't remove the gauntlet from him. Later, Thanos' ego got even more inflated, and he tried to become so powerful that he wanted to become a cosmic entity, a part of the universe itself. To do that, he had to astral project out of his physical body. But wait a second, if he wasn't inside of his body, then is he still wearing the Infinity Gauntlet? Nebula, one of Thanos' adopted daughters, takes advantage of this and swoops in for the win. Finally, someone managed to remove the gauntlet and wear it. She reversed everything that Thanos did, including wiping out half the population of the universe. However, the power of the gauntlet was too much for her to control. After all, it's like having a flood of information flowing through your head. Thanos, being an Eternal, could handle it, but Nebula couldn't. Doing this could ultimately reshape the MCU like in the first theory. Of course, Nebula doesn't necessarily have to be the one to wrestle the gauntlet from Thanos, but it would be pretty cool.
Who dares?
My friends call me Carol.
but you can call me Captain Marvel!
Captain Marvel MVP. If you stayed for the after-credit scene for Infinity War, which you should for any Marvel movie, then you would have seen that Nick Fury sends a signal just before he disappears. This signal is an emergency distress beacon to outer space, and the symbol is representing a new, or I guess old, superhero, Captain Marvel. She's like the Wonder Woman of the MCU, and definitely a huge powerhouse to add to the team. In the comic books, a story occurs in which Thanos gets the Cosmic Cube instead of the Infinity Gauntlet. Captain Marvel convinces Thanos that the Cosmic Cube is damaged, so Thanos discards it. Similarly, after Thanos does his signature finger snap, the gauntlet is damaged. We don't even know if the gauntlet can sustain the power of the Infinity Stones or whether it can be used again. The gauntlet was forged using the heart of a dying star, so creating another gauntlet would be kind of a pain. She'll definitely have a significant role to play, but she may not be the only potential MVP.
It's the Avengers!
Hey, wait! They didn't call me! Maybe I missed it. Do I have a signal right now?
AntMan MVP. Ant-Man and the Wasp has recently been released. The end of credits scene had a particularly interesting turn of events that confirmed a very popular fan theory. The question was whether or not Scott Lang would survive Thanos' finger snap, and how. Be warned, if you haven't seen the movie or the end credits scene and don't want to be spoiled, step away right now. Alright, so Scott temporarily goes into the quantum realm to collect healing energies while in radio contact with the rest of the team. Then suddenly, as Hope begins to count down from 5, she never makes it to 2. As Scott calls out to his team, there's no response. We then go to the rooftop and see 3 piles of ash representing Hope, Janet, and Hank. Obviously, this is all due to Thanos' finger snap. So, how did Scott survive? Well, the theory is that the quantum realm is a dimension outside of time and space. If it's a dimension outside of the universe, then it could mean that Thanos' snap, which relies on the Infinity Stones, only affects the current universe, and not realms outside of it. Ant-Man has the unique ability to shrink or enlarge not just himself, but other objects as well. In the movie, we saw how difficult it was to remove the gauntlet from Thanos. Well, what if Ant-Man could shrink Thanos' body or enlarge the gauntlet so that it comes off of him easily? He just needs to get close enough to Thanos to physically touch his body. If Scott somehow is able to get out of that quantum realm and be recruited to help defeat Thanos, it's a possibility. But the last MVP on our list is the one that may be the most important one of all.
Because I haven't come across anyone who's man enough to go toe-to-toe with me on my best day.
Tony Stark MVP. Doctor Strange asked Thanos one request in order for him to give the Time Stone. That was to keep Tony Stark alive. He didn't just do it because he loves Stark. He really doesn't. Why save the life of one man over half the population of the universe? The only logical reason is that Tony Stark is a significant chess piece in the reality that Doctor Strange saw, which ultimately leads to Thanos' defeat. Doctor Strange couldn't have predicted who gets erased and who doesn't. The process of who gets erased was random. But one thing that wasn't random was Tony Stark. He had to stay alive, and he's essential to defeating Thanos. This means regardless of the MVPs we've discussed previously and their actions, Iron Man is the key player. He doesn't necessarily have to be the one to remove Thanos' gauntlet, but his actions could ultimately lead to Thanos' demise. So what could Tony Stark possibly offer that without him, there's no possible way? Is it his leadership skills or charming personality that brings together another team of heroes? A quote by Sun Tzu in The Art of War goes like this: "If your enemy is secure at all points, be prepared for him. If he is in superior strength, evade him. If your opponent is temperamental, seek to irritate him. Pretend to be weak, that he may grow arrogant." Thanos is invincible, but he has one flaw: his arrogance. Tony has a habit of irritating his enemies sometimes and taking advantage of their arrogance, which can create new openings and vulnerabilities. Could Tony Stark somehow convince Thanos to discard the gauntlet? The MCU has been borrowing ideas from the comic books for a while, but altering it slightly to fit the MCU, so it's not out of the realm of possibility for this to happen. Stark is known for his technology, so he may have a way of using the damaged gauntlet for one last wish.
I've just upgraded him to contain all the Infinity Stones. Too bad I couldn't program him to contain your ego.
And there you have it, Marvel fans. Which theory do you like the best? Who do you think will be the MVP? How do you think Thanos will be defeated? Let us know in the comment section below, and please don't forget to subscribe to CBR for more awesome videos. Thanks for watching.